Twitch UTV124, TikTok UTV_124, and Flow TV channel 124. Remember, UTV, TV for you.
Good evening, and of course, welcome yet again to another Saturday Sports Night. I am your presenter, Anthony de Beauville. Of course, you can also join us on our Facebook platform, UTV124, and our telephone numbers are 484-7588 and 572-7588. Like always, I simply hope each and every one of you had a productive, joyful week, and you look forward to a restful weekend. Like previous editions, I have quite a bit in store for you, and I will be getting in touch with at least 4 individuals of interest in various sporting disciplines. But before we go into the various persons I'll be speaking to, let's take a quick look at cricket, and I'm referring to West Indies cricket. In fact, yesterday, Sri Lanka, they flashed West Indies by 164 runs. You heard right, 164 runs. After bowling out the visitors for 142 at Gal International Stadium to sweep the series 2-0. Latish and Ramesh Mendis picked up 5 wickets each to seal Sri Lanka's win. Earlier, Sri Lanka, they declared the second innings on 345 for 9 and set the visitors 297 for victory. Scores: Sri Lanka 204 and 345 for 9, West Indies 253 and 142 all out. Interestingly, at one stage, the West Indies, they were 65 for 2. That means that they lost the last 8 wickets for just 67 runs. And there's nothing new when it comes to that aspect of the West Indies batting. The silver player of the match for his 155 not out and 5 catches, Ramesh Mendis, player of the series, he picked up 18 wickets. I have a few picks for you to have a quick look as the Sri Lankas. Five wickets earlier in the first innings, and they had some rain. So here you have it, West Indies going down to Sri Lanka 2-0. In fact, quickly, the West Indies white ball team, they will take on Pakistan in 3 T20 and 3 ODI matches in the next couple of days. But something of more interest and closer to home, and I know many of you will be quite pleased or happy. Akib Ogis, under 19 cricketer, St. Lucian, will captain a 15-man West Indies team in the 8th edition of the ICC under 19 cricket tournament. The Cricket West Indies selection panel announced the West Indies Rising Stars on the 15-member squad and 5 reserves for the ICC under 19 Cricket World Cup to be played in the West Indies January to February 2022. The squad will be led by Akib Ogis and the left-hander middle order batter with all-rounder Givionti De Perez as the vice captain. They were also at the helm during the 6-match Youth ODI series in England in September. The players were selected following the recent high-performance camp and preparation matches which featured 28 players at the Coolidge Cricket Ground in Antigua. The West Indies Rising Stars have been drawn in Group D alongside Australia, Scotland and Sri Lanka for the 16-team tournament which will be played from January 14th to February 5th. 5 matches will be played in Antigua and Barbuda, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis and Guyana. The ICC on the 19-men Cricket World Cup, a 5-match warm-up series is being planned with details to be announced in the coming days. Again, St. Lucia, we have 2 players on the squad, and I'm referring to Akim Ogis and right-hand fast bowler McKenny Clark. And both of these players, they play in terms of club, that's them there, Akim Ogis and McKenny Clark. And if you could recall when I mentioned McKenny Clark, if you recall when I mentioned some time ago, during the Sandals Cup, I said to St. Lucia, this young boy, McKenny Clark, remember him. Bishop said, remember Carlos Braffett? Well, I'm saying to remember this young boy. He has everything of Andy Roberts. And when I say deadly, I'm not meaning that he's going to knock you out in a wicket. But bowling, he means business. And we have to continue to support those young talent that we have in St. Lucia. Before I go for my first break, I will get in touch with basketball coach Glenn Geese on a tournament that he's organizing next weekend. Just coming back to the West Indies team, lead selector Robert Haynes said, overall the selectors are very pleased with what we have been seeing from these players, and we do expect some very exciting cricket in the World Cup. The batting is solid. Our concern coming out of the top of England was the middle order, but we saw some really good performances in the camp and very good partnerships. The bowling is very good, and we think we have the right combination of spinners and fast bowlers. This is a balanced squad and the players are very excited. It is now for these youngsters to go out and put on display what they have learned in the camps, which we organize for their benefits. And I was referring to Robert Haynes' selection panel committee. So, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Glenn.
Yeah, good evening.
And how are you doing, young man?
I'm good. Always a pleasure.
Great. You know reasons why I'm calling. In fact, you were in studio sometime in August, but you were referring to, I had you referring to a camp that you had, but this time you have gone a little further, and you've presently organizing a 3x3 basketball tournament. Just bring me up to speed and let my viewers know what's exactly going to take place.
Yeah, well, as part of the continuing development drive by the SLBF, we just trying to stay in line with the calendar and the mandate. As you rightly said, we had a camp during this summer, and we just moving to the next step now where we organizing tournaments. Developmental tournament, U16, 3x3, no less, because this is what has the momentum for now for basketball. And yeah, it's a developmental tournament basically, just to see the next set of talent on the island to take over the guys who did so well for us in Florida.
But what is exactly you looking to achieve?
Again, it's developmental. It's first of its kind. We have never really had age group basketball tournaments on island, so we are looking to pioneer that along with the SLBF to at least get our youngsters competing at an earlier age, so that they would have more competition under their belt when they get to that level where they have to represent internationally.
And what kind of response you've been receiving thus far in terms of registration and players and teams?
Yeah, so far a lot of enthusiasm with the coaches. We have we're looking at 8 teams on either side of the spectrum, male field. We have 6 each so far. We should be at 8 come tournament time. So the enthusiasm is there. A lot of the coaches, they've been working on their programs, so they're also looking for competition for their kids.
Okay, that's taking place on December 12th, the eve of National Day, and of course that's at the Virgin Multi-Purpose Sports Complex. But I realize we have some players out. I know they're over 16. Will you be inviting these players, those players who just went over to the Pan American Junior Championship? Will you be inviting them for some kind of an exhibition match or something?
Yeah, well, the exhibition game we have set is between the most senior guys, the guys who recently did so well in Florida. They beat Argentina and came close to beating Puerto Rico. So they're going to be there. They're going to be showcased against another team, another senior team, which will be made up of the players who almost made it on that team to Florida. So again, their job at the tournament is to showcase and show the youngsters how the game is supposed to be played, and coming off that good performance internationally, I mean, that would be a good motivation for the youngsters.
Great. And what is it you have in place in terms of your protocol on the day?
Yeah, well, as always, protocols are always tight. You know how it is now in the time that we're living in. We have to make sure that everything is in place. Screening, temperature screening, hands, and the sanitization, masks, all those things I take. So, and initially we wanted to host it at the Grosenate Court, but then because of the protocols and the restrictions, we had to revert to the VG complex because it accommodates the protocols a bit better.
Okay, we seem to have missed out something. And your starting time?
9 a.m. So, and we know that the curfew is at 5, so we start at 9. And 3x3 is a quick-paced game. 3x3 is like what T20 is to cricket. So it's like a 10-minute game. So yeah, we should be finished by 2.
Okay. And finally, what are your future plans?
Yeah, well, in the coming year, we're looking to go into a senior 3x3 tournament, and also because by virtue of the players being registered on the FIBA platform, so they get an earlier entrance into international registration basically. So we are now looking for more regional tournaments for them. So as long as they are registered on the FIBA platform, then they are now networked internationally. So we're looking for regional tournaments for them, or even international tournaments for them.
Great. Okay, Glenn,
So then they will get FIBA rankings. Once they're in there, their points uploaded, they will get FIBA rankings as well.
Okay, great. Yes, we'll have to leave it here. I just want to thank you for joining me this evening, and of course to share with our viewers, our listeners, in terms of your plans for the Under-16 3x3 tournament scheduled for December 12th at the Virgin Multi-Purpose Sports Complex, starting time 9 a.m. I just want to thank you again and have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
Okay, you're most welcome.
Yeah.
Just before I close my first segment, on November 20th, my guest was the National Minister responsible for youth development and sports, and I'm referring to Kenton Kazime. Minister Kazime made a number of pronouncements and put it into his ministry and the various development changes coming. One being the rebranding of the Ministry for Youth Development and Sports. Outside signature, I'm referring to the outside signature event, is the Inter-Secondary Schools Track and Field Championship. Unlike anything else, the inside signature event is the National Sports Awards. The ministry, they have moved away from the intersect and have decided to call the games Island Champ, TIC, which is TIC, all right? According to Kazime, TIC should be something where you come to compete, and you have to be at a certain standard. You have your participation at the infant and primary school level, and I'm referring to the inter-house rivalry, right? But when you get to secondary school level, between the age of 12 and 17, you cannot be at intersect, and you cannot reach the minimum standard set by the organizers in the 100 meter or the high jump for that matter to be competitive, and you fail. This is a cause for concern. The minister believes it should be all about quality that's coming out from the various schools that will be on show, and that is the direction his ministry will be going in 2022. I don't know about y'all out there, but I can safely tell you, I support that aspect coming out from the minister 100%. And I simply hope, St. Lucia, the 19 or 20 odd secondary schools we have on island will do just the same by supporting that idea. 14 years going to 17 at Island Champ, that is Carifta age. And if you are serious about sports and the discipline that you represent and want to excel, now is the time to up your game. And I'm referring to athletes in St. Lucia. Now is the time to up your game, right? I'm not here speaking only about track and field, but also swimming and all the other sporting disciplines on island. St. Lucia, we need to move from point A to point B. We have been between point A, but we're not getting to point B. All right? When it comes to the two Caribbean oldest sporting events for juniors, the Carifta Track and Field Championship and the Carifta Swim Championship are the oldest. And we have been taking part in these events for how many years? If you ask me, 2022, Jamaica will host the Track and Field Championship, while Barbados will be gracious hosts, of course, to the Caribbean swimmers. And just before I close that segment, I have a few picks here for you, so you'll have an idea as to our athletes, track and field athletes, when it comes to the intersect, rebranded name, the Island Champ. Here are some of our athletes here, and that was taken last year March, just before COVID. Right, that's the Southern Zone qualifier intersect that took place at the George Odlum Stadium. Back at the So, St. Lucia athletes, the ball is in your court to go out there and perform for your respective schools, make it to the final, and whenever a final will be held, you will come out there blazing with your parent, family, and friends coming to see you perform at the highest level. So I simply hope the Ministry of Sports, of course the Ministry of Education, and of course the St. Lucia Athletic Association, and they come around the table pretty soon to put plans in place for what will be a great year 2022 for track and field in St. Lucia. I'll take my first break, but when I come back, I will be speaking to Peter James, coach of the St. Lucia Pan Am Junior team, swim team, that went over to Cali, Colombia. So do go get something to eat, a drink, and I'll be right back with you.
UTV.
I know you
got it. If you identify with the most pulsating, the most riveting, the most eye-capturing UTV. To advertise with UTV, dial 484-7588 or 572-7588. For some of the most competitive rates, amazing programming, and bang for your buck. The most popular streaming channel, UTV 124 on Facebook. Get it now. Check us out on Instagram at UTV 124. Email us utvslu@gmail.com. Yo, UTV. It's not just for me. It's definitely TV for you.
Available at Red Dot in Grosile and Susie's Varieties in Bois de Wange and Vieux Fort.
Hello, you're City Barriere, channel 124. What is that? UTV, that stands for ground.
Welcome back. As you heard in the first segment, I had some cricket news, West Indies, Sri Lanka, and of course I had the under-19 team selection, St. Lucia, Akim Ogis, and McKinney Clark on the team. And of course, if you just heard, I just spoke to Glenn Geese, East Coast basketball coach, organizing a free-on-free tournament. And of course, on the line now is coach of the St. Lucia national swim team, who recently returned, in fact, they returned yesterday from Cali, Colombia. And good evening, Peter James.
Hi, good evening.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
You've rested well enough after such a long flight?
Yes, I got a good night's rest.
Because it's never easy when you travel from one part of the Caribbean, you go all the way down south. You know, normally, boy, it takes sometimes 48 to 72 hours to recover.
That's right, and especially now with all what's going on with COVID, it makes it even that more challenging.
You know, tough going for you in Colombia. In terms of, I mean, we didn't make it on the podium, but there were a few personal best times. Are you disappointed? Are you pleased? Are you happy? What areas do you believe we need to work on going forward?
I'm tremendously proud of all the swimmers. With what's going on right now in the world, the amount of meets that they get to swim, especially at that level, I'm extremely proud of all the swimmers. Like you mentioned, we did have a few personal bests, and we also had one of our swimmers actually making it to a B final. Out of all the swimmers, we had the one who stand out was DeAndre Blanchard, swimming a personal best in all 3 individual races he was entered in.
Great. In terms of the actual preparation, but were you satisfied with the preparation before the team left St. Lucia?
Satisfied, I wouldn't say I was. No, I would be frank, I wasn't. We could have done a lot better. We only had roughly 10 weeks to prepare a team to go down to Cali, and we only trained for like maybe 8 to 10 hours a week.
Okay.
Where at that level we would have normally been training anywhere between 14 to 16 hours, sometimes 18 hours for the week. A lot more could have been done in terms of mental preparation, as well, assisting some of the athletes with their mental preparation, and also physio, getting massages, getting them fine-tuned and ready for the games of that standard, which they've missed, or 2 of them have missed for about more than a year now.
Okay. But in terms of the level of competition that they went through, what do you think about the standard? For first junior?
The standard of swimming was high. The standard of swimming was high, especially from the South American countries, just to name like Brazil, Argentina, the host country, Colombia. They had full teams, and the standard of swimming was high. But once again, we don't have the facilities that they have. Hopefully, within the coming months, we would begin to see some signs of us having a 50-meter national stadium down here, which will put us in a better standing and give us a better fighting chance. We train in a 25-meter short course, but we have to go over in a race in a 50-meter long course pool.
Well, the minister was here on the 20th, in studio on the 20th, and he did mention that work has already started in terms of clearing up the site for the 50-meter pool. So I believe in the coming months, or even before, because St. Lucia is supposed to host Sisikan, right? And Carifta. Yeah, so in the coming months, the swimming fraternity will see some action, and of course St. Lucia will be proud of having one of the latest swimming facility in the Caribbean. But what next for the swimmers?
Well, next for our swimmers, actually, we have already started preparing, starting this morning. We are heading down to, or I should say across to Abu Dhabi in the next week. We actually leave the island on the 12th to head across to Abu Dhabi for the FINA Short Course Swimming Championships.
And who are the athletes traveling and coach?
The four athletes on the team, we're just going to have one slight change from the team we had in Cali, Colombia. We're going to have Jan Odlem Smith. We're going to have Michaeli Shalmang. We're going to have Naima Hazel. And the addition to that team would be Terrell Momplaisy.
Great. And the team coach, manager?
I will be the team coach. I know for sure our president is heading across with us. I'm not too privy know all the others who are going to be traveling with us, but it's going to be the four named athletes that I mentioned, and myself again going across as the coach. Okay,
you've just a few months away from Carifta in Barbados. In terms of preparation, how soon one expect Team St. Lucia to commence training?
Well, we like to start training ASAP.
Okay.
Hopefully, as soon as the new year rolls around, we can get back into the pool full time. Due to all the restrictions and protocols, we kind of have to hold back on the amount of hours and the amount of persons we can have in the pool at any one point in time. We do have athletes who are already training for Carifta. To mention again, like DeAndre Blanchard, his performance down in Cali, Colombia, he has already qualified for Carifta.
Okay, great.
So, with Pearsons are training, and hopefully in the new year, we will get back into the swing of things to have a nice, great performance across in Barbados.
But you also have, as you mentioned, qualified for Carifta. You also have Faith Jeffrey in Barbados. She has also qualified for Carifta as well.
That is correct.
Right.
That is correct. She's also one of the swimmers who has been swimming fantastic. And for a young swimmer, if she could just continue going and stay injury free, and like I always say, continue to do well in her schoolwork, especially, the sky's the limit for her.
Great. Your final comment before I let you out?
I just want to say thanks for all the support that we got from everyone while we were down in Colombia. I'd just like to say also give out support to all the other athletes, the basketballers, the track athlete that we had down there. Just continue training hard. Things are starting to open back up. Hopefully all sports will begin to open up and we'll begin to compete like we want to compete. And just don't give up. Don't give up. Continue working hard.
Well said. I want to thank you, Peter, for joining me this evening. You've made your debut. I guess the next time you will be in studio.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Thank you very much for having me.
You're most welcome.
And just continue doing the good work.
Extend my greetings to your mum, Paula.
All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay.
All
good.
right. Have a good night.
All right. We had Peter James on the line. Of course, he too a former national swimmer, now coach, and of course his mum also is very deeply involved in sports administration, and I'm referring to Paula James, former banker. Just before, because St. Lucia, you realize you also saw some clips of the various teams, like the basketball, the athlete, and of course the sailor, Luc Chevrier. But the latest is that we've won a bronze medal, and that's coming from Luc Chevrier in the sailing, and it was because of, well, he was fourth, but there was a protest by Mexico, so St. Lucia went up the ladder. So we've won 1 medal in Cali, Colombia, and I want to congratulate Luke for taking home a medal, and all the athletes in some way or the other went out there and gave it the best. And I want to say something here before I get to my next guest. St. Lucia. The athletes belong to St. Lucia. And the idea of we criticizing athletes and saying things to destroy the athletes, we need to cut that out. I've been honest with you, we need to cut that out. The question of people, and especially coaches too, who see it fit to make comments, but it's your opinion. But these comments are detrimental and they're going to hurt the athletes. And how you expect these athletes now to go out there and perform for us? And when they will get gold, silver, or bronze, or whatever color medal that we expect them to bring back home, we criticize them. We need to stop that. We're too small as a nation where we continue to beat down on our athletes. You cannot, especially when you're involved in the sport, to be criticizing our sportsmen and sportswomen like that. And we know for a fact, all right, the amount of money spent on those athletes is not enough. It's a pin in the, a pin in the bucket. All right? And we go on and we criticize them because they are Olympians and didn't make it to a final. You have no idea what's going through the mind of those athletes on the day in question. I have been there. I know about these things. And if you as a coach, you ought to be responsible and respect those young men and women wearing our national colors. You understand? I'm not going to sit here on Saturday Sports Night and don't address these issues. And as long as we continue on this forum, I'm going to address it until it stops. We are all St. Lucians, and we ought to live like St. Lucians and ought to support our athletes regardless they bring back gold, silver, bronze, or whatever sport and discipline that they go out there and represent St. Lucia. We need to support them. On the 20th of last month, I had the sports minister here, Kenton Casby, and he openly said that we don't have a sports culture. We don't have a sports culture. All right? We need to start now. And I've always used the word 42 years of independence. As an independent nation, all right, we need to rally among our sportsmen, our sportswomen. All right? St. Lucia, please, let's bring the warmth back to our sportsmen and sportswomen in this country. Thank you. On the line now, I have Jacqueline Trim, President of the Basketball Federation. Good evening, Jackie. Sorry, Bodybuilding Federation, sorry. Good evening, how are you doing?
Good evening, Mr. DeBoville. I'm good, thank you.
Good, great. You just heard my last preamp there in terms of, persons have to support our athletes. I mean...
and there's something that you said which is very dear to my heart, which is coaches preparing athletes for competition. And it hurts me to know that some of our coaches are not qualified or they are not certified to train athletes.
Our athletes. You're pretty right on this one. You hit the nail with a hammer. And I support you on that 100%, And these are the things that we need to change. And stop giving people favor because I'm your friend and because you're involved with the sport, I'm supposed to send you out with my national team. No. Go get qualified. And have a clear picture of what you're dealing with. Because every other day or every month or every week, the rules change. It's now, technology now is in sports, big time. And if we don't understand that aspect of it, we will be left behind. All right? And I know for St. Lucia, we have too much talent. And I've always said we can run down the world. But anyway, you're here on a more serious note.
Yes.
And of course, St. Lucia, this is the president of the Bodybuilding Fitness Association. And I'm referring to Jacqueline Trim. And good evening again, Jackie.
Good evening, Mr. Iberville.
You have your
It is
election.
indeed a pleasure. It is indeed a pleasure to be on your show this evening.
Indeed. I know you have your election. It was slated for today, but you've
Today, actually, yes.
yeah, but you've moved it for another week.
Next week, next weekend, yes.
And you're saying that you're allowing the affiliates time to whether there's any objection or whether they want, so just tell us more, a little more on that, whether that aspect is in your constitution and then you did it right. I don't know. Just let my viewers know what's happening.
Based on our constitution, we had to give athletes and persons who are interested in being part and parcel of the executive of the Bodybuilding Association, they have 2 weeks to send in their nomination.
Okay.
Or to send in their intent of wanting to be part of the federation. So far, based on the names that we have received, it's only the current executive that have submitted their interest in continuing, and nobody else is actually vying for any of the positions. So we wanted to, in consultation with the Director of Youth Development and Sports, because we don't like to do things on our own.
Yeah.
We always like to seek consultation with the higher authorities. And based on my conversation with him, we decided to give the athletes, let the athletes, the membership know who the persons are, and let them know that the persons who have so far submitted the information is actually the current executive.
Yeah.
With one exception of the PRO. And therefore, you're giving them the opportunity to look at the current executive, and to, if there are any objections to anybody serving on the executive, they can raise an objection within that week period. And then when we meet next weekend, we are going to go through the whole process of doing like an AGM, giving all our reports for the past 4 years, and then to ratify the new executive, the old executive as the new executive.
Okay. So your time in office or your period in office is a 4-year period?
It's a 4-year period.
4-year period.
We are following the same period as the Central American and Caribbean time frame. So their election was supposed to have been this year at the last championship. But again, because of COVID, a lot of countries were not able to travel to El Salvador. So therefore, they have moved it to next year in Barbados.
Okay.
But we are keeping our 4-year time frame.
And who are the persons with voting rights in terms of coming to the AGM? Is it individuals or gyms?
No, it is individuals. The individual athletes who are current members of the federation, and those will be member persons who have actually completed a membership form.
Okay.
Those persons, what we're going to do after the election has gone through, we are going to be re-registering the athletes, because right now our focus is to have the federation operating in a different manner. We want, right now, more is expected of us from the ministry and from SLOC. So we have a lot more things to put in place. So therefore, we are going to be re-registering our membership, having a database of all the competition history, information about them. So when they ask us about an athlete, we can simply pull up the file and have everything about the athlete. One of the things from a CAC level, if our athletes go to CAC and obtain their pro card, we need to be able to have their competitive history so that they can receive the pro card. We also want to give the athletes competition passports. So in those passports, it would have a stamp of every competition that they compete in. Thereby, they themselves would have a recorded history of their competition life.
Great. That's good news.
So as a result of that, we need to re-register the athletes to ensure that each person have a passport. As of now, our athletes are, we just pull athletes, we have a competition, and who want to compete, and that kind of thing. So we want to have it a little different.
Great.
And as you said, we want to have, in your preamble about coaches not being certified and stuff like that. With bodybuilding, it's a little different, but it's even more risky. Because if the person, whoever is training that athlete, is not aware of what they're doing, they can destroy the athlete. And I know too many athletes who have been hurt and destroyed through bad training.
And never come back to the
I see some
sport.
of our athletes, I see how they train, and the posture in the manner in which they train is bad, and they're going to hurt themselves.
Great.
So we are working on having coaches IFBB certified, and thereby we would have coaches who can literally take the athletes from a very young age up to the age of maturity. Because right now the athletes, we are mandated by IFBB to introduce the sport of bodybuilding to the 9-year-olds from primary school level.
In fact, I was about...
Now you cannot have persons who are uncertified training 9-year-olds. They're going to destroy the children.
In fact, I was about to ask you that question.
Those young children from the primary school level must be certified. They must understand the growth spurts. They must understand how the body grows, and at what kind of training to give those children at the various stages of their life.
Great. I was just about to ask you that question, Jackie, in terms of because that talk has been floating around for a while now, in terms of secondary school bodybuilding championship. At what point do you intend to take it to the school level?
Well, what we're trying to do right now, because we do not have a national gym, all gyms are privately owned. Therefore, if the students would have to go to a gym, somebody is going to have to pay the cost of it.
Okay.
So one of the things we're trying to do, hopefully as early as possible of our next tenure, is to try and get a national gym set up. And we are working towards that as we speak. We are also, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we are also trying to set up the Weightlifters Federation. For the Weightlifters Federation, we have already received equipment from the Panama Weightlifters Federation.
Okay.
Those equipments are currently stored at the SLOC office. So we have something to start with. So all we need is a venue, a location where we can actually house the equipment and to start getting equipment for the national gym. So that national gym would not just be for bodybuilders, but it will be for all disciplines across the board. Because no matter what discipline you are into, you need a certain level of weight training. So that national gym is going to meet the needs of all athletes.
But the weightlifting component will fall under your watch?
Well, for now, the Weightlifters Federation, no. The Weightlifters Federation and the Bodybuilding Federation, we're having it as one.
Okay.
So you have the same executive handling both of them. Okay. Hopefully, eventually, we can separate them.
Okay.
But for now, because of the limited manpower and resources, we have it as one. So we're kind of running both of the federations at the same time.
But I'm a bit inquisitive or curious in terms of affiliates. How many affiliates do you have?
For the bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Bodybuilding, we do not have affiliates locally.
Okay.
Reason why we don't have affiliates locally, we have members. We have members who are the athletes.
Yeah.
The reason why we do not have affiliates, the gyms are not affiliated with us as yet.
Okay.
The ministry have been, together with us, have been trying to get the gym owners to buy into being affiliates of the Bodybuilding Federation. But again, as you know, the gyms are privately owned.
Yeah.
The gyms are privately owned.
Okay.
So therefore, it is difficult to kind of mandate or force them to become affiliates. We are trying to see if we can get incentives to incentivize them to become affiliates of the Bodybuilding Association. But as of now, we do not have local affiliates. We only have members.
Okay. Your final comment before I let you out?
Okay, my final comment is that I'm looking forward to this new term and to have bigger and greater things happening. Currently, we just ended our first ever virtual championship, which was a great success. And the athletes are already saying they want us to have another one next year, make it an annual event. And we're also looking forward to having our athletes prepare for the CAC championship that's going to be held in July in Barbados. But I would like to encourage persons who are listening to me who are interested in being part of the federation. We need persons to come in and, don't shy away. I realize a lot of persons right now, they're looking for the dollars and cents.
Yeah.
But voluntarism, we should not lose sight of it. We need to be able to give back to our countries. Whether you were an athlete before and you choose not to compete anymore, but you can come in and make a difference to the new athletes. We encourage as many persons as possible to be part of the federation.
Great. Well
said.
said.
Have an open policy.
Well said.
And thank you, Mr. DeMorville.
You're most welcome, Jackie.
Allowing me onto your show this evening.
Yeah, you're most welcome. But I also want to add here. So have a good evening, Jackie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yvonne.
Yes, you're most welcome.
Enjoy.
Okay. I just want to add here the current executive, Jacqueline Trim, President, Monica Dudley, First Vice President, Eugene Gabriel, Second Vice President, Melissa Thomas, Treasurer, Shomin George, Secretary, and of course, Louis Andre Murray, Public Relations Officer. He'll be coming in for his first stint on the executive. Again, thank you, Jackie, for joining me this evening. Finally, we look at some boxing, and on the line I have David Christopher, and of course, Christopher, there's election coming up, and on the 20th, election is on the 20th, so yes. Good evening, David Christopher.
Good evening, Mr. Classic de Beauville. How are you?
And how are you doing? I'm fine.
Well, I'm kind of happy because my good friend Luke just got a bronze today, and the only medal we got at the Pan Am Youth Championship. So I feel him very well. Our new executive start off with a medal.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you.
And
very
I
much.
simply hope the many teams that will be going out in the coming months and years will continue to make our small nation proud. Well, St. Lucia, this is David Christopher again, President of the St. Lucia Boxing Association. And as you're aware, they will be hosting staging the election on the 20th. Why take it so long into the month? You into the Christmas week, Shakes?
Well, I have to go down there because we have to notify AIBA 1 month before. So we must add that stipulation time. We have to give them, we have to notify AIBA, and then we have to wait for the response. So it's not like before when you can just keep an election with the new statutes of AIBA. Now everything has to be done differently. New president, new governance. So you have myself and Guyana will be going on the 20th.
Okay.
Most of the Caribbean countries have to call the election, because of COVID last year and the Olympic cycle, a shift. A lot of the countries didn't hold an election as stipulated. So we think Grenada had theirs. We're going to be going, Barbados had theirs. Myself and Guyana is going on the 20th. And it will be followed by other federations around the Americas holding the election.
And you will be creating history. The event will be streamed live?
Well, we have to go live because AIBA have to be aware of what's going on. They have to get a glimpse of what's going on. Our election is a big election of a difference because boxing is the only sport don't have too much of roro. You don't have too much of rah-rah because people don't really come forward to contest and serve. This is a problem we've been having for years where we don't have much people coming to serve, especially the past boxers and past persons who been around boxing to come and serve. You have to be looking to people to serve. Like the other sports, you have people be contesting in cricket, in football. You have 3-4 persons vying for the same position. With boxing, we know we have to be seeking persons to come and serve. Because with voluntary service, persons don't really want to give up their time. And as a grassroots sports, it's hard to really get persons to come and put out their, the willingness and the commitment. And with the program we have on stream right now, we don't just want persons to just come on the executive.
I was about to ask you that question.
To profile themselves because we have a lot of work to be done. We spread our tentacles. We have persons to serve. We have the prison. We have the boys training center. We have Soufre. We have Sozel. We have Viewfort, and we have the school programs. We have health schools. We have all the schools programs be coming back on stream. We just received some more equipment last week, So we want persons who are going to give us 110% coming on board. That's why I've been crying for some kind of stipend for persons serving on executives. It's time that we start to give some kind of stipend for persons who are willing to give up the time. It's not happening as yet, but hopefully down the line, Tony, I hope that persons who coming forward to serve in these various associations, not only boxing, can get some kind of stipend, like all these different boards the government have, giving persons some stipend when they attend meeting. We can start doing that to show some kind of appreciation for person's time, giving back to these sports, because we've been saying we're not producing, but the administrators have to play a pivotal role and a very serious role in making things happen for the athletes. And if the administrators is not seeing the love and the kind of appreciation, will they shy away from serving, So that's just my two take. I've been saying that as a president from times, but a lot of presidents don't see it that way, because some people, just have their own style of running their...
But will your international body, I'm referring to AIBA, support such, or will you make a request to AIBA?
Definitely, because presently, I think you've seen in the crystal ball, we just have two big proposals with AIBA right now for some financial support for to start up the youth development, where we'll be giving the youth them some kind of stipend to stay in the program, because we've been losing a lot of youth through the COVID to other sports, and not only to other sports, but because of the pandemic and the frustration. So we'll be seeking to get some kind of support whereby we can give the executive some kind of stipend, and even the Ministry of Youth Development and Sport will be facing them to get some kind of support. We have this big investment, the citizen investment program. It's time that we try to tap into some of that fund from the government to go back into sport, from these passport documentation things that are going on. Some of that funds need to be channeled back into the sporting organization. So we'll be looking at that also. So it's a lot of things is on the board right now from the Boxing Association standpoint, and from the new executive of the St. Lucia Olympic Committee, Inc. When the cards is being dealt and being shared around the table, you'll see a lot of things coming to the fore, whereby sports going to be on the front burner, the association, the athletes, and we have to try to make St. Lucia climb that podium a little bit more often. We start today, and we're hoping that we can continue. We have Commonwealth coming up, we have other sports, big games coming up, and we got to keep mounting that podium, because we've been losing the momentum of mountain podiums,
Interestingly, you mentioned youth development. I know you had quite a crowd or young boys from various schools. I just spoke to Jackie Trim, who is also the president of the Bodybuilding Association, and they too will be looking at bringing bodybuilding into the schools. Your take on a school tournament in terms of boxing?
Well, I tried that a few years ago, but I met with a few stumbling blocks. But I think right now, the atmosphere is right now with the minister and the new government installed there. We need to get a school program, because we're in the high school right now. We're at the college. We're in Vidbute. We're in Viewfort Comprehensive. And we spread our tentacles, the Boys Training Center. And we're looking to see how we can develop the youths, because, as I mentioned, we'll be looking to invest at least about $50,000 to $60,000 in a youth program, whereby we'll be encamping these youths on the weekends. We will try to do it at the economy, but I don't think it have enough space there. So we start to work into encamp them on the weekend. About 20 to 25 of them we're going to start with, and work with them, give them a stipend, and they're going to lead up into youth program, novice programs, where we will identify them very early, put them in programs so we can develop champions and better citizens from the youth, because it's from there most of our boxers came from. All the boxers we have from the Linden Marsley way back when, they came from the school programs. So we need to work with the school programs a little bit more, seeing that we have our national coach, Conrad Patrick, working with the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, hoping that we can get the Cubans and some other sports, other coaches to come and work along to help him out, so we can spread and really get at least 500 youth boxers. This is our target. We will get the support from AIBA for sure because there are financial support there for us. We had a conference yesterday, we had one today with AMBC, and there's funding. As long as you can present our authentic proposal to these bodies, they will give you funding to develop your youth program, your officials, referees and judges, ITOs, physiotherapists. So AIBA is taking a different turn in managing the boxing because they're under sanction right now by IOC.
Yes.
And the new president is doing different things in governing the sport that IOC can see the way how AIBA is moving. So it's spread around the Americas. You notice we just had the World Championship where $100,000 was given to the winner, $50,000 to the silver medalist, and $25,000 to the bronze. Trinidad cashed in with $25,000, Nigel Paul. So monies will be pumped into the boxing right now. So we just have to set ourselves properly, try to open another gym down in the south of the island. We just want to get the location and the place so we can look for that funding to get another gym down in the south so we can ease the pressure from the VG gym. So a lot of big things for boxing, but first we need to get a new executive in place, persons who are willing to work. We call on persons who want to serve to get in touch with us so we can have a real strong and working executive. So for the next 4 years, we can create champions and better citizens and even create history in St. Lucia where boxing is concerned.
Just before I let you out, Chicks, let me ask you a final question here. You did mention a youth development, but I'm also looking at talent identification and a level playing field in terms of our women or young girls. How you intend to bring in the young women or the young girls in the program?
Again, you really see in the crystal ball. We have a budding female program going on right now. If you notice, our PRO been feature a girl called Marisa. She's in the gym. We have about 3 or 4 girls right now we're working with. And in the school program, especially the Hess school, we have a series of young girls we eyeballing right now to work with. I'll be continue looking for the females because there's a lot more in there for females, like scholarships, school scholarships. eBay is giving out a lot of scholarships. So scholarships is there for them, and we want to get more female involved, whereby we can get persons to work with the female. So definitely we eyeballing the female, and we need to go that direction because we've been lacking a lot in St. Lucia with female boxers. After Melinda, we didn't really
capitalize.
Females, you know? So we're hoping that we can get more females. We're working with this young girl Marisa right now. We have her down for
Commonwealth.
We have 5 boxers we put in a special training program we start already for Commonwealth. And we hoping that they will stay in the program. We will finance them in the program. So by now in Commonwealth, they will be real ripe and ready so we can give a good representation when we go to Commonwealth.
Great. Yes, Christopher, I just want to thank you for sharing with us this evening. And I wish you the very best come on December 20th. And I simply hope St. Lucians, those who really have the sport and the young people at heart, will put their hands up and come and assist the movement or the development of boxing on the island. I want to wish you all the very best as you go forward. So have a very good evening.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's always a pleasure. And thank you very much for all the support you've been giving us. And I hope that persons will be ringing down my phone and pleading to come and help us, because we have various committees that we will need. We need female persons, a lot of female persons to get involved so they can deal with the female boxers, the young girls and the young women. We need females to deal with the females. So we're hoping that we'll get a few calls and they can come on board and work with us. Thank you very much, and God bless you, and keep doing the good work.
Yeah, thank you very much, and you very most welcome. This was David Shakes Christopher, President of the St. Lucia Boxing Association. I always seem to be tuning the two, bodybuilding and boxing, but Boxing Association. Of course, you just heard the polls will be held from 5:30 p.m. on the day at the St. Lucia Olympic Committee in Conference Room in La Clery, and that's a stone throw away from the Macy's supermarket in La Clery. So I wish, well, Jackie, Trim, and of course Shakes all the very best in the election. As I'm about to close this evening, as always, my 1 cent, not 2, 1 cent, is that I want to wish those of you who celebrated birthdays last week and those who celebrated birthdays this coming week, I want to wish you on whatever anniversary that you celebrated or about to celebrate, I want to wish you God's richest blessings. And those traveling near and far tomorrow to their various places of worship, do go out there and have a wonderful time in the presence of the Lord. And of course, St. Lucia, as we continue to fight the COVID, I just want to, on behalf of management, say to you all, please observe the protocol in place, and of course adhere to the various times stipulated by the CMO, and of course the Ministry of Health. As always, St. Lucia, please observe. And for those persons, in terms of the various unnecessary crimes, please, St. Lucia, let's put a cap on that now. Let's a padlock. Let's look at each other as brothers and sisters, all right, and friends and family. Because some of these killings and accidents and so on, they are so much unnecessary. Okay, I simply hope that this past week was the final week that we've been hearing of such behaviors by our very own in St. Lucia. And please, St. Lucia, please walk away. Just walk away. And when you walk away, you live to live another day, you know. All right? So, and let me finally say to all those persons in sports, like Shakes and Jackie and other persons before, even Peter James said earlier, things are slowly returning to normal. Just bear some patience, and 2022 will be a year for sports going forward in St. Lucia. I want to wish each and every one of you a pleasant evening, a blessed weekend, and a productive week next week. From me to you, Dibo, I'm gone.